Hello everybody and welcome along to the Wuhan Open here in snooker in 2025. It's the third tournament of the season after we've had some incredible campaigns at the Shanghai Masters and at the Saudi Arabian Masters. Now we're off to China and it's a qualifier, but it's the big one. It is the world number one, Judd facing one of the rising stars in recent weeks, Farakh Ajaib from Pakistan. And so the Trump has already got their match underway here with a nice little break off. Ajaib straight away has a good chance of a long pot here. And he misses it. So he'll go back to Trump. Has he left anything, Ajaib there? It doesn't seem like he has. We're waiting to see what Trump can do about that. But so far, yeah, it's just a safety there. So nice little cover up to the black. And the turn will go back to Ajaib there. So hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm really excited about this tournament, I have to say. It's a big shame that the finalists of Neil Robertson and Ronnie O'Sullivan are not going to be participating in this tournament. But apart from that, most of the world number top 16 players should be here. There's a little exchange of safeties here between the two players. And now Ajaib once again gives the turn back to Trump. So yeah, I think the world number one will be a massive favourite going into this match, but as we've seen already with Trump throughout this season, you know, we only had two tournaments, but Shanghai Masters didn't have the best starts of all of them. And then of course losing to Mark Selby in the quarterfinals and then losing to Oliver Lyon surprisingly in the last 32. Ajaib didn't play in Shanghai Masters, but at the Saudi Arabian Open he was one of the first round qualifiers and still managed to get to the same stage as Trump. This time once again it's Ajaib's safety and he forces Trump probably to be rolling up to the bunch. So once again it's the world number one that has to respond. And then yeah, Ajaib managed to get to the same stage as Trump the last 32 and then of course was knocked out by Chris Wakelin in that stage of the match. Jake Resha, hello, welcome everyone. You're here, always in front of me. Nice to see you here already. The main moderator man. Yep, this time it is Trump. Once again, they'll have the chance after the referee wouldn't call a touching ball on him. So far, just a little bit of safety here. And if it does continue like that, I won't be surprised if the players settle for a re-rack in the foreseeable future. But for now, Ajaib will ask the referee for a rest and will try to reach to the cue ball. I think this will be a great campaign, especially for someone other than Robertson and O'Sullivan to be in the final. Of course, we've seen Kyron Wilson win the Shanghai Masters. Neil Robertson, as I mentioned, won the Saudi Arabian Masters. And could this be another Chinese player winning it after last season's brilliant showdown between Zhao Guodong and Si Jiawei? Remember that one of those players have already made a maximum today, Zhao Guodong, so congratulations to him. And he already put his foot on the potentially highest break of the tournament. Let's see if he's going to have to share that with anyone. Or is he going to be the only man to do that? For now, both Trump and Ajaib taking it carefully after Ajaib missed the opening red that he had after Trump break off. Not taking any risks so far. And just making sure that he doesn't leave Trump with anything. So, well, I say that and then he hasn't really done a great safety. He's left Trump with a little invitation in the left middle pocket. Good on with 147. Oh, well, yeah, I know, exactly. The tournament only started at 3 o'clock in the UK time. And it will be 10 o'clock in China. And he already had a maximum. So, yeah, Trump with an opener into the middle. In it goes. And it's the first blood to Judd Trump here, as he's nicely on the black. And potentially in for a high century break. So, just a little reminder, as it's the last round of qualifying. Of course, some of the players have played that already a couple of months ago, but some of them haven't. Just a reminder as well, Xiao Xington, the current world champion, is going to be playing Yulian Boyko, the rising star from the Ukraine, on another table. So these are the only 2 matches of qualifying that are going on. And we've already seen some really good matches featuring Barry Hawkins and Jamie Jones. Had to go to the decider, with Hawk winning that one by 5 frames to 4. So yeah, this will go. This will be a best of 9 once again. And let's see if Trump can make the first break count already. Will be interesting to see. So far he's had 2 reds and 2 blacks. So 16 points scored for Trump here. Hasn't landed perfectly on any of the reds here, so he'll probably have to go for one of the green pocket shots and just screw back onto the black nicely, making sure that he doesn't leave anything apart from the ball that he can potentially miss. Nicely done, but I think he's overscrewed that one, or underscrewed it, depends if he wanted to go in off the cushion. It was a really good pot there from Trump, right into the middle of the pocket, but he hasn't landed on the black, so unless he goes for a wild card shot into the middle, I think that will be the end of break. So he has gone for it, still hasn't really got any reds to land on, and he still missed it, so the black is now over the middle pocket, the right one, and yeah, that is the end of a break for Judd Trump. So I'd say Ajaib got away with the one there because he left an easy chance for Trump. You know, it wasn't an easy chance, but it was the one that you would expect Ajaib not to leave for the player of Judd Trump's quality. But the world champion has only managed to get 17 points out of it. So still, this opening frame very much up for grabs here, as Ajaib just goes to roll onto the bunch. And will now force Trump to probably do the same thing here. So once again, the world number 1 taking his time, making sure that he doesn't leave the red on that is on the bulk area. He needs to make sure the cue ball goes in between the yellow and the brown, and it's done exactly that. So decent shot there from Trump. Leaves Ajaib with a simple safety, but still just making sure that nothing is available to pot. Ahmad Abbas Sabati, hello mate, nice to see you as well. We've got the 2 people that are always here, so appreciate you being here. Thank you for tuning in. As Ajaib goes for a lovely snooker attempt. The idea was certainly right. I wouldn't say execution was, because he hasn't done enough, and even if Trump can't see the left side of one of the reds, it won't be too hard to be rolling up to the bunch. Trump has gone for another option. This was a risky one, but he's managed to do it really well. And in the end, no damage done there. It'll be just another safety for Ajaib. Trump needs to make sure he avoids the repetition of the Oliver Lyons match when, he didn't get off to a great start, and in the end, Lyons was playing some really good snooker. The snooker he described himself as the snooker of his life, one of the most prestigious tournaments. And what a time to come up against the world number 1, as Ajaib goes for a snooker, so leaves a potential pot on here. The angle is not really in favour of Trump. He can try and hold it for one of the ball colours, of course, Q action being one of the best in the game, if not the best recently, for Trump of all the players on tour. He's gone for that. He decided to just hold for the black there, and I think that was a mistake, because all of a sudden he missed that red by quite some margin, and in the end Ajaib will have a chance here to pot the red himself. He does exactly that. Has he landed on the colour? Indeed he has. So he's got green now at his disposal. Potentially black would be better, because he's got a nicer angle to get on the lower part of the table. It will be a lot easier to get on the reds. We'll find out if the yellow is blocking that in a couple of seconds time. The brown goes in, and nicely done there from Ajaib. Lands on the red nicely. And yeah, once again, a nice little screw back there. So this time a little bit of a harder job to do for Ajaib, because he's got a black into the pocket, which is really straightforward, but you'll have to make sure that he gets anything on it to get the cue ball back down the lower part of the table, which is where all the reds are. Tough shot for him to do that. Needs to make sure he does it perfectly as well. So the line is good. And yeah, the problem with Ajaib was he only had one red that was dead on the cushion to land on. You would hope that he's right on the cushion, because that would make it a lot easier for him to pot it. If not, he'll probably have to go for a safety there. So yeah, the red is not on the cushion, so it's a really hard shot to take on, and yeah, it misses it. It was always going to be difficult for Ajaib there, and I would say it was always going to be the wrong shot to take, because if you miss those types of shots, you're always going to leave Judd Trump with an easy opener here, which is exactly what he's done. And yeah, Trump is off with another star here. Goes for the pink here, and it was a really good shot from Trump, because that has allowed him to free at least 2, maybe 3 reds here into the open play. So that shot from Ajaib seems to be worse and worse here. Trump takes a little hesitation there to make sure that his sticker wouldn't be going against him in this shot. Nicely done there. And this time, it's 25 points on the board here for Judd Trump. So yeah, the problem that Ajaib has now is Trump is on the table and he's already ahead by 12 points at least. So you wouldn't need too many of those reds to put the first frame to bed. Once again, the black is in. So one less shot of those. So 32 points here for Trump. He's still got 2, I'd say 2 or 3 reds available, and certainly if he puts those 2, you'll have another couple available to his disposal. The pink is off his spot, so this time you'll have to go back for either the blue or the pink, which is exactly what he's done. Over on the blue a little bit, but it might be a blessing in disguise for him, because he's got a nice angle here to try and potentially split up the bunch. One of the best players on tour in doing that, but I would probably say it's a commentator's curse, because he's done that absolutely perfectly and he's landed on absolutely nothing. And it's a shame that for Trump, because he'll have to be just a safety. So 2 break chances Judd Trump has had already, and both of them haven't really done him any favour. First being 17 points and the second one being 21 points on the break. So you're just looking to see if anything is available here. You could potentially try and go for a tiniest of guts there, using the rest, and I think that's exactly what he's trying to do. It would be really difficult for him to control the cue ball perfectly, but if he can get past the sort of all the reds and get the cue ball into the ball carrier, but you can see there another hesitation, and in the end Trump just thinks against it, tries to put the red on the cushion and the cue ball onto the ball cushion there. So nice safety shot there. Doesn't leave anything straightforward for Ajaib, and of course that makes it at least 3 reds on the cushion. So even if Ajaib was to get a chance in this frame, it will be difficult for him to clear up in one go. Goes for the long pot here for Ajaib, and it's a lovely long pot there by the Pakistani player, as he landed on one of the colours. Don't think he has, so he'll have to be just a snooker behind the pink, I would assume. Unless he can get through to the yellow, so he can't, yep. We just have to roll up to the pink. So a good long shot there, a really good one. The red ball went straight to the heart of the pocket. Doesn't give him an awful lot after it though. And Trump will now try and get out of this snooker, hopefully in as few attempts as possible. The problem that Trump has got though is he hasn't really got a lot of single reds to go up to, but this time does the job really, really well. And what a snooker escape that was from Trump. Puts the red ball even further down the cushion. No chance for Ajaib to have an opener here. And probably just one more problem for him to deal with in the end. So 24 points is the gap between the players in favour of Judd Trump. And there are still 75 points on the table still. Still enough at this moment in time. As Ajaib goes for a smart shot there. Tries to free up one of the reds from the cushion. Needs to make sure that the cue ball ended up in behind the pink, and it has. So it's a really good shot there. With cue ball being on the cushion as well. Pretty sure that leaves Trump with no real chance of an attack here. And we'll see what the world number one can do that. As we get another angle here, what it looks like from Trump's perspective. So you'll just have to try and roll up to one of the reds, and does it really well. Puts it dead on the cushion once again. So smart shot number 2 there for Judd Trump. And once again, Ajaib has to go back to square one here. And potentially find an opener. I'm not sure if he's got one to the middle though. Because if he has, he's got a really nice angle to end up on the black. And if not, you'll just have to go back to the cue ball into the bulk area, which is exactly what he's done. So 2 cushion there. Hasn't landed perfectly on the cushion, but still way behind the bulk line. So good enough safety there. And once again, Trump goes for a smart shot, tries to put the black on the cushion this time, and still demonstrating a perfect cue ball control, landing way beyond the ball cushion and making sure that one of the reds that he's freed up is covered up with the cue ball in behind the yellow there. So probably just a little cross double attempt there from Ajaib. He's the only thing that he's got. And we will see what's that going to end up with. So he goes for that, but he catches the jaw of the pocket there, Ajaib. So should have been nowhere near that, I have to say. And we'll see if he got away with it. Well, I think he has, because I think he ended up right in behind the blue. So Trump will have another snooker to potentially try and deal with. And yeah, it's been quite a few times already that, you know, Ajaib got away with shots like that. This time though, Trump wasn't able to roll up, so it'll be 4 points to his opponent. And yeah, of course, Ajaib will ask for the cue ball to be returned exactly where it was, and Trump to have another attempt here. Once again, the referee will check that the cue ball is sitting exactly where it was a couple of seconds ago. Making small adjustments. The first frame hasn't seen, you know, we haven't seen so far any brilliant blistering breaks, especially you expect that from the player of Judd Trump. We haven't seen that yet, and let's hope that's about to change in the latter stages of the match. For now though, the referee making sure that cue ball is in exact position as it was, so a little bit of a delay here. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Ajaib will absolutely take that delay, as it looked like he was going to leave Trump the chance to potentially end the frame. Instead, he ended up with a snooker to his name. This time though, Trump rolls up to the red really well and doesn't even leave a simple pot into the middle for Ajaib. So the situation hasn't changed dramatically. Trump is still ahead now by 20 points with still 75 on the table. Once again, Ajaib goes for a ball cushion safety. And I think Trump will respond with a similar shot here. Try and potentially pot it if he can. Hasn't done so, but the cue ball once again has landed exactly where Trump would have liked it, in behind the brown, and only one red potentially available for safety. But the problem for Ajaib here is you can't really see the proper angle that you need to be playing his safety of this red. Let's see what the Pakistani player can come up with. You can see his view is really limited, so he may be actually forced to take this red on, as it may be just the only option that he has. He has found an edge there of the left hand side. There's a good kiss on the yellow. It's alright, I would say it's alright. I wouldn't say he's left anything easy for Trump here. Once again, probably a safety, I would assume. And yeah, the safety with a pot in mind there, and a brilliant pot from Judd Trump. So he tried that shot a couple of shots earlier, hasn't worked out that time. But this time it goes exactly in the pocket, and Trump will now himself roll up to the green and make his opponent now to try and find an escape from this snooker position. Once again, Ajaib hasn't got too many options to roll up to, especially I wouldn't go anywhere near the bunch in the middle unless you try and clip them off and go back into the bulk area. But the problem, of course, to roll up to any of the other ones, he's gone for the second option, and boy, has he got lucky there. He not only got the ball, but he also fluked it. I think Trump will be kicking himself. Kicking everything he can after that shot, because have a look at this, he's caught that one way too thick, but in the end it was just about perfect for the pot. And now all of a sudden, with the Reds position quite nicely, at least three of them, Ajaib is here now with a chance to put some pressure on world number one, as he's only 16 points behind. He could get technically 16 points of those two Reds that are available in play, with black still very much in contention here. And then if he can try and do something with those two Reds on the cushion that are on the black ball cushion, you know, all of a sudden he could be in with a chance here. After it looked like it was all gone here for him. Hasn't landed on the red here perfectly though, so he'll probably have to go either for one down the cushion or try and play for the blue here. Risky shot to take that. Decides to go for the middle here. Needs to make sure it lands, and he didn't. So a mistake there, I would say. And only 13 points scored here for Ajaib. And it's now Trump back at the table. Hasn't really got a straightforward opening here. Once again, Judd Trump. But he can try and potentially cut this one into the right middle pocket. Overdone it. And as he left it for Ajaib, this is the question. Needs the brown to come to his rescue. I don't think he has. So it'll be Ajaib with a chance once again here. Trump has been way too rusty so far in the opening round here. I know he's missed a large part of the campaign in the Saudi Arabian Masters, but you know, he had to make sure if he was going for that pot into the middle, which now Ajaib has comfortably taken, he had to make sure that he landed at least at the right side of the pocket, and got the wrong jaw. He got the front jaw there, which made sure that the red ball rolled onto the top part of the table, which is exactly where the cue ball was. And it was an easy opener here for Ajaib. This time, he's got the same dilemma as he had a couple of shots ago, as he's got two Reds on the cushion, and he may potentially go for the safety. And I have to say, I don't know what on earth he was thinking there, but he's played an absolute horror of a safety, putting himself in all sorts of trouble. He has freed up both of the red balls, but he also put them on the play for Judd Trump here. If there was an idea behind that shot, I'd love to know what it was, because with that execution, I can't even tell what it was, the point of that shot. But I think the reality of that shot is going to be, in 5 or 6 shots time, that shot will cost him the frame here, as now Trump is in prime position to close off the opening frame, as he now pots the blue, and he's nicely on the red into the left middle, being already 8 points behind, looking to make that 14 with the red and the blue going in. And he has landed straight on these blues, so not something that he would have liked. Would have liked to have an angle to end up on the yellow there, but rolls up to it nicely. And now we're back to the 6 colours here, so 27 points on the table. So 3 more shots for Judd Trump will mean that Farakh Ajaib will lose the opening frame after he's had the chances here, the world number 76. But it looks like for all the money now, it will be Judd Trump with the perfect start here after not showing the perfect game. It's always nice to be winning the frames and the matches that you're not playing particularly well at. And now the frame ball is here for Trump. And it's in, so 23 points behind, 18 on the table. The first frame does very much go to Judd Trump here, after he missed the first 2 chances that he's had to close off the opening frame. It was the 3rd time lucky for Judd Trump, and now looking to make it the biggest break of the match so far, with a total clearance potentially. Has a really nice pink there, little exhibition shots there, as he's probably the best in the world at. Break of 32, can he end it on a 39 here? Goes for a double into the corner pocket and can't make that one, so a little bit of entertaining for the crowd here from Trump. And he closes off the first frame at the 3rd time of asking. It is now Judd Trump 1, Farakh Ajaib no. And yeah, as I say, so the frame wasn't particularly good for any of the players, especially for Ajaib when he had all those chances to. This is best of 9, first to 5. So I think that will be the case till the quarterfinals, and then in quarterfinals it will be best of 11, with the final being played best of 19 there. So a standard format if you compare it to the sort of Saudi Arabian Masters on sort of UK Championship, Welsh Open, stuff like that. So a little break here in between the frames for both of the players. And yeah, we'll be back shortly when the players go back to the table. And yeah, very much looking to get some more action after not the best opening frame, but certainly players giving it all, especially Farakh Ajaib just not using all of his chances that he had. Needs to make sure he does more of that in the second frame. Judd Trump was able to get over the line with that one, and now after a decent break off from Farakh Ajaib, has the cue ball right on the cushion there. So we'll be looking to potentially have an opener of a long shot here, and it's gone for it. Judd Trump hasn't really managed to do any damage with it. Has he got away with it though? The cue ball has landed really safe, and the red hasn't gone too bad either. So Ajaib will have a chance to strike himself. Yeah, so after a first opener here, Ajaib will have a chance to strike himself. But Trump has managed to get away with that shot. And now, once again, Ajaib can't respond. So, Trump will be with it again. Yeah, so Ajaib couldn't see one of the reds that Trump has left. Trump certainly could. And he was able to punish Ajaib for that mistake in the safety. With the pot in mind. So, very much again, Judd Trump on the horse and up and running here. 4 points already here. The position is looking better than in the first frame. Still needs to make sure he's more clinical this time around though, as he hasn't been able to do that so far in the opening frame, needing 3 break chances and in the end having almost a clearance with a break of 32, just missing the last black after it went for an exhibition shot there. This time he's nicely on the blue and yeah, looking to go potentially into the bunch, so it goes against that and lands, well, tries to land on one of the reds that is available. Whether he has landed is another question, because it does seem to be tight and doesn't want to see it, the bad news for him. Doesn't seem to be too concerned as he lines up the shot, so I assume he just got away with it. And the red's in, so the break continues. And from these black, Judd Trump being probably second best player if you talk about splitting the bunch after Ronnie O'Sullivan. We'll try and do just that here. The black is in and nicely now onto the red there. Hasn't got the easiest of cuts, but still should be able to land on the blue or the ball colours. Yeah, struck that one really nicely there, Trump. Probably is a little bit unlucky to not end up on something easier than that, but in the end, the red is in. And nicely done there from Trump. Lands on both yellow and brown. Goes for the brown this time though, for a better angle. Once again to bring the cue ball down the table. 23 points scored already. Approaching the highest break of the match so far. It being 32. Only need 3 more shots for that as another red is in. Nicely on the blue with a really nice angle. And once again, you have to point out the cue action of Trump, because the position wasn't bad, but he had a lot of work to do, and he was able to do all that work with a single shot off the black, really nicely screwed into it, make sure there was a lot of power and a lot of action on the cue ball so it wouldn't just stick to the reds and run out of position there. As the blue is in. And it's now 29 points scored on the bounce here for Judd Trump. Goes for the screw back on the pink. Has got a little bit of an angle to deal with. And potentially would probably expect Trump to be screwing back from this pink to be ending up on one of the lower reds here. As the pink is in, so he decides to go for the opposite of that and decides to go for the highest of them all. As we've now seen the highest break of the match with 36 for Trump. We'll be looking to make that a 1 break visit here and win the second frame from the first time of asking. A little bit of a delay here as the referee tries to put the pink exactly in amongst the reds as its spot is taken. So Trump will have to wait for that to occur before he can go back to his business. You can see the referee all about fine margins there. And Trump is ready to continue here. Hasn't got the easiest of reds, especially if he's going to roll up to the black. Doesn't want to be stray on this black though. As the red is nicely in. I think he has ended up pretty straight there, so he'll probably have to go for a dip screw here. And off the cushion into the reds, exactly what he's done. Always meant that he was going to leave an angle for himself, so that's why he wanted to avoid that. 44 points scored here, still not enough to win the match in one visit. Needs to do a little bit more of that. 45. So looking to see the first 50 plus break here in the match. After the best that Trump has managed in the opening frame was 32, and Jay being 13. Hasn't got the easiest of blacks to that, as he's pretty straight there with not a lot of room for cue action, with the cue ball being on the cushion there, but nicely done. And Trump lands to the red into the middle. So 53 point already. Looking to make that 60 and line up a frame ball in a couple of shots, as he only needs 2 more shots after this now, with the red putting him 61 ahead with 67 on the table, and the black will put him 68 ahead with 67 on the table still. So looks like the second frame will be a lot smoother here for Judd Trump than the first one was. As once again a really nice cue action there from Trump, and it is looking likely for a decent century break here. Of course, you can't match the Gudon break for the highest break of the tournament. Reminder that any of the players that does that alongside Gudon will have to share the 5,000 prize with him, as Trump has now got 76 points on the board already in the current break alone, making that 77. And still, the majority of those shots, apart from the first ones that he had to go for the brown and the blue a couple of times, the majority of those shots have been played in and around the black spot, which of course a lot of players on tour prefer to do that, especially the likes of Shaun Murphy, Karen Wilson, Ronnie O'Sullivan and Judd Trump himself. 84 here, so 3-4 more shots needed for a century break. Once again, Trump has to go for one of the bold colours. Hasn't landed perfectly on either of them, as he landed straight on the yellow, so he'll probably have to go for a brown here with a little bit harder of a cut. The brown is in, so 89 points scored already, as he landed on the reds though. And does one of them go, or are they blocking each other? In that case, Trump will have to figure out something of an exhibition shot. Yeah, so it looks like we won't see a century unless Trump finds something miraculous. So he tried to go in off the black there. A really good attempt and a really clever shot there to play. Yeah, so he used the black as a sort of cushion ball to try and ricochet the red off it. The red rattled in the jaws there, but in the end it just didn't drop. And it is the frame to Judd Trump here, as he makes this one count in one visit to the table. It is now Judd Trump 2, Farakh Ajaib 0. Good stuff here for the English player, world number 1. And a reminder, of course, that the winner of this match will go to the main event, to the main stage of it, to the main draw. We've seen already some really good matches throughout today. You know, David Gilbert, Marco Fu, Jimmy White, Elias Lesser, the semi-finalists in the Saudi Arabian Masters already out. Barry Hawkins, I mentioned, is through after a tough draw with Jamie Jones. Had to force that one through a decider. And some of the matches are being played right now, with Mark Selby and Michael Holt sharing a 1-1 draw at the moment. Mark Williams is off to a great start against the compatriot teenager Liam J. Davis. Gary Wilson is now in action and leading 2-0, and Liu Haotiang. Bao Yuhen is now losing to Si Jiahui, one of the home favourites here for the tournament. And remember, the player that has managed to reach the final stage in 2024 here. And yeah, so some good players here already at some action. And if you are joining us a little bit late, the winner of this pair will play Matthew Stevens at the round of 32. So it'll be really interesting to see. If we look at another table alongside us, Jarzington is off to a good start against Julian Boyko. And the first frame went very much the way of the Chinese player, with Boyko now on the break in the second one. So looking to make that one count and potentially force a 1-0 draw here earlier on. Stevens still plays, haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, I have to say he hasn't been too keen on it. I think he had a good campaign in the Championship League, but hasn't had any action since then. So Matthew Stevens is still in the top 50, I'm pretty sure, if you have a look at the world ranking. Yeah, he was number 50 exactly, so there you go, there's your knowledge. And he managed to participate in the Saudi Arabian Masters as well, but haven't got really any further than last 64. Losing to one of the Chinese rising stars, Wu Yize there. And of course, as I mentioned, Matthew Stevens has lost at the one of the lower stages of the Championship League, losing at the second stage after successfully completing the world number 1. Judd Trump and beating him in the process. So yeah, very much will be looking for his opponent ahead of the China Grand Prix as well, which is going to start soon. You know, the players like Judd Trump, like Karen Wilson, like Si Jiahui already said that this is one of their favourite tournaments and one of the favourite cities to play at. And yeah, the action of China Grand Prix will be very much on here. 50 is more than decent. I mean, at his age, I have to say, him being 47 and still being the world number 50, it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. Especially with him having some of the decent campaigns. Was it Welsh Open or was it Northern Ireland Open last season where he got to the quarter-final, I think, and lost to Karen Wilson there? The tour has massively improved, I would say, recently, because you've had a little bit of drop-off of those, you know, sort of Barry Hawkins being in and out of the tournaments, still being highly ranked, but been inconsistent last season. Joe O'Connor has rolled onto the scene. Elias Slesser, Chris Wakelin has come out of nothing. You know, Zhao Xington, you know, competing at the World Championship under the amateur status, and all of a sudden winning and becoming the first world champion of China, will be one of the main favourites for this tournament as well here. If should he get through the qualifier, as Boyko is still on the break here, so looking to make and close off the second frame as we're still waiting for Ajaib to return to the main table here. And it will be Judd Trump to break this time around to get frame number 3 underway. And yeah, I think Judd Trump will be hoping that the third frame will go very much the way that the second one has. And you know, the first chance that he's had, he managed to put that one very much into the play. Hasn't had a brilliant break off here, leaving Ajaib with an early chance of a long shot here. I think, yeah, he'll be looking to try and potentially guide the cue ball past all the reds and in between the black to make sure he makes it worth it. He probably has landed on the black, but he's missed the red there in the end. Don't think he's left anything easy for Trump. I think the only one he can potentially leave him is the red that he can go both into the left middle pocket or into the yellow pocket there. Trump, we've already seen, he's very much in the attacking mood as he goes for the second option, goes for the middle, and a really good cue ball control. You can see there he was going quite close to the jaws, but cue action was just about enough there from Trump to make sure he's landed perfectly on the majority of those ball colours. And now yellow wasn't the easiest and rolled into the pocket there, so yeah, the position is still very much needing some of the action from Trump. And with, let's say, only 2 or 3 reds being in the play once again, and he's got one last one at the top part of the table near the ball cushion. We'll probably use the green now to get to the bottom part of the table now. He decides to go for the brown here, so certainly a lot of force required for that one. And has he done enough there with his power? I don't think he has. I have to say, I was surprised with his shot selection. I would have surely, if I was him, surely should go for the green there, because he generates so much angle, and from top cushions it would have been so much easier. Now he's just a safety for Trump, so he's disappointed there, Trump, with only getting 8 points out of that chance. You know, he certainly could have got a lot more than that, being 30-40 potentially. And then you never know, have a little split, a cluster along those 30-40 points, and you're in with a chance to win a frame with another one table visit there. But instead, it's Ajaib that is back to the table. Decent safety here. A lucky kiss of the yellow makes the cue ball go right towards the cushion. I think eliminating all sort of chances there for Trump to go for a long pot, which he has been a great fan of Judd Trump recently. You know, sort of going in for any of those half opportunities and making it stick for the quality of his play. Of course, hasn't been able to do that against Mark Selby and Oliver Lyons. But still, as he said himself, Judd Trump, it's still early stages of the season, and As he said last year, he would have rather finished the season strongly than started it strongly. So you never know, maybe he's leaving it best till last, and maybe he'll show up with the best form of his at the Masters, UK Championship, or a World Championship, all three of those being the Triple Crown events. With all the talk that Saudi Arabian Masters will be joining that in the foreseeable future. But we'll certainly be doing that in terms of prize money. Whether you can compete with the crowd size and the crowd atmosphere is going to be a point of debate. But Ajaib here turning down a chance that Trump has left for him and just going for a safety there, and hasn't played too good of a safety. Needs to make sure the cue ball lands in behind the brown, and I'm not sure he has either. So he might have just done enough there with the cue ball action to make Trump once again to be rolling up to the bunch. Exactly what he's doing there, Trump. Done it nicely though. Once again, it's been a few times that Trump was forced to play this type of shot, and so far it worked out every single one of those occasions. He's got a nice little red into the right middle pocket there. So wouldn't want to leave that one for an opener for Trump. Of course, having two more reds quite close to the right corner pocket. Not in the perfect position, but still dangerous enough for Ajaib to be bearing that in mind. So just goes for a safety shot. Rolls up to the bunch, and I think that will be the next couple of shots here for both the players. So a little delay here once again in the matches. Both players will know that, especially Ajaib, he probably at this point he just needs a frame on the board and then take it on a frame by frame basis, and if you can win a couple in a row, maybe put a little bit of pressure on Trump. It's probably the best you can do when you're up against the world number one in such early stage of a qualifier. Once again, an update on the table. Julian Boyko has indeed won the second frame against Zhao Xingdong, the world champion of last year, and it's now players are ready to get the third frame underway. So very much intact with the way this match has gone, as Trump now is the player that has the touching ball and just rolls away from the bunch and does it really well there, leaving Ajaib right behind the yellow. And this time it is the player from Pakistan that has to find a cushion before his next red. He'll try and go potentially for a long pot if he can see it, because that's the only sort of thing that is left himself. And he's going for it, and he's got it. So it was a cushion shot safety there, or a do or die shot. Ajaib gone for the latter one and hasn't landed perfectly on the blue, but still in with a chance here, as he has a really good blue to pot there. And if he lands on the red, he could be in with a chance here. I'm not sure if the pink would allow him to get through to that red, because he's ended up way too close there for margin. And I think he'll have to probably either try and cut the one that is closest to the left cushion there. Yeah, you can see there confirmation of him just shaking his head and getting the rest out. And so playing a safety instead. I'm not sure whether he couldn't just see the trajectory onto the pocket from that red. But either way, it's a good safety there from Ajaib. But once again, only 6 points from a promising position, I would say. Especially, getting that blue when the cue ball was right on the cushion. Getting that cue ball down the bottom part of the table. Doing the all sort of hard job, but in the end just coming up short in terms of the cue ball power. And Trump now will have a potential chance of a long pot himself. Goes for a lot of screwback, so it was always going to be difficult for him to judge the trajectory of the cue ball perfectly. And yeah, I think Trump will call that red a traitor, because he's landed absolutely on a plate here for Ajaib. Was hard to control whether red is going to end up, but he's probably ended up in the worst possible position for Trump and the best possible position for Ajaib here. So world number 76 is in with a chance here. Once again has a brown to go down the table and play for one of the reds, and all of a sudden he'll be in with a chance to be playing in and around the black spot, as he's now, for the first time in a while, he finds himself ahead in a frame in terms of the points scored and being the man at the table. Could he make Trump pay for that mistake? You know, it was a little bit arrogant there and a little bit of just, I would say, ignorance at that point as well. But now Ajaib needs to make sure he pounces on that mistake and makes it count for him. 13 points, already equaling his highest break of the match, which hasn't been good enough to this point, especially with him having quite a few chances. And the first frame especially, the second frame was more of a stroll for Trump. So then once again Ajaib lands on the black. Hasn't landed a perfect there, so too much angle there, so I think he will be going into the bunch. Just to make sure the black is in, and it's not. He's bouncing onto the other cushion, and is he gonna fall in? No, it's not. So the end of a break here for Ajaib. So only managing to score 14 here, missing the black off the spot. It's probably the last thing you want to see. Still, could have been worse, as he could have left an easy opener of a red here. Instead, the black is covering the right corner pocket. So I think it'll be a sequence of safeties until one of the players can get a sort of straightforward red into the left corner pocket, or any of the ones that are not covered by the black, it being the bottom right pocket. As Ajaib goes for an aggressive shot there. I think at this stage you can allow it as soon as you don't leave the cue ball too close to the reds, and in the end pays off really well there as the cue ball lands dead on the cushion. And it's now pressure on Trump here. Throughout the safety battles, Trump has always been managed to come out on top so far in the match. And this time it looks to be one of the first times Ajaib has put him into a little bit of trouble. Trump goes once again for a creative shot of try and escape. And I think the blue has just come to his rescue to make sure he's covered up any potential chance for Ajaib to go for a pop there. I think he'll still use that red to try and get a safety of it, which is exactly what Ajaib has done. Nice in thing there, putting the cue ball and sticking it to the yellow. Really good shot once again. So a good exchange of safeties here. As once again Trump under a little bit of pressure, needs to make sure catches this one perfectly, and he hasn't. Missed it entirely and hit it on the bounce, and all of a sudden it is Ajaib with a decent chance here. There's a little bit, you know, just a little weird mistake coming in from Trump. You know, he needs to make sure he eliminates those if should he go higher into the tournament. But Ajaib here with another chance, with the black being right over the pocket. You'll have a chance to close off the frame here. You would expect for the player of the professional's quality, with all the reds, or at least, you know, 5 or 6 of them being in really good spots. And now it's just to make sure he lands perfectly on the blue here. Goes for the pink instead. Doesn't change the scenario massively. Just have to make sure that the red has still found the pocket, which he had. So Ajaib now 27 points clear, 83 on the table. In very much with a good chance here. Farakh Ajaib hasn't landed too nicely here on the angle on the red. So 35 points here for the world number 76. Well, I think it will be a perfect scenario if Ajaib can just clinch those 2 frames. It probably is the only sort of case scenario where he's still in this match, because you have to feel like if Trump is ahead by 3 frames to 1 going into mid-session interval, it is very much game over here. But so far he's still in this match, but to stay in it he needs to make sure he gets this frame on the board, and then the blue goes in. So 41 points here now, 21 on the break, making it his highest break of the match already. could improve that stat massively here, as once again 75 points on the table. Can't quite make it a century break, which I'm sure he won't be thinking about right now. Just wants to make sure he wins this frame, at least in this sitting. A nice cue ball control there. Really nice stun there onto the black. Once again, with an angle that made him miss the black last time around, but of course he had to play that shot with an awful lot of power. This one is just a little bit of topspin. And catches comfortably there the right jaw. And now 49 points on the board, so 41 being the difference. So just 4 shots needed, and he'll be a frame to Ajaib here. Remember, these two have met already in their career. Only once though, exactly 3 years ago. It was 19th of August 2022 at the World Grand Prix, where Trump has managed to win that match by 5 frames to 1. Ajaib here with another good black. So 49 points the difference. So the next red and the color will make sure that Ajaib gets a frame on the board and will be up and running here at the Wuhan Open. I think going into this match is really hard for you. You know, snooker players don't really have those sort of coaches that and personal trainers that all the sort of other sports have, because it's such a sport where you have to be on your own and it's all about you against everyone. As Ajaib here puts a frame ball to bed, and now ahead by 56 points, only 51 on the table. Needs to make sure that this red is in to prevent Trump from coming back to the table, which is. And now the scoreboard looking to be 2-1 now in favour of Trump. And Ajaib this time around making it count for him. You know, it wasn't the easiest position as he misses the black here. I don't think it'll matter. 57 points the difference, 43 on the table here. Trump won't be coming back to the table, and it is a break of 45 and a frame here to Farakh Ajaib. And now Judd Trump leads by 2 frames to 1 here, as we're going to be heading into the frame number 4, the last one before the first mid-session interval here at the first and the last round of qualifiers here at the World Wuhan Open. Once again, looking at the table next to us, the table number 1 here with current world champion Zhao Xingtong and Julian Boyko playing. Boyko has now had a break of 35. It is still a safety battle at this moment in time. So that frame is still very much up for grabs. Here though, Ajaib makes Trump pay for his mistakes, which you have to say there have been plenty of already. And that one was punished by Ajaib in style, I would say, because, you know, he had some tough shots. Majority of them were the ones you would expect a professional to put, but still coming up under all sorts of pressure when you're facing world number 1. He made that one count, and he managed to win the frame. Not quite in 1 visit, but doing that in 2. Still very much done the job for him, as we'll be back as the players return to the table for some more action before the first 15-minute break. Once again, back into the action we go, and it's going to be this time Farakh Ajaib with a break to get the frame number 4 underway. This time it will be him that will be hoping that this frame will go the way the previous has, after he has managed to win the frame number 3 in, not quite one time visit, but making that 2 still has been better than some of the wins throughout this match so far, as Trump has an early chance for a long pot there. He doesn't turn those down, but at that time of asking, he misses it, and now it's Ajaib that has a little bit more straightforward one, and into the pocket it goes. Brilliant shot there, and the cue ball just failing and letting down Ajaib there after such a good pot there. He hasn't done enough with the cue ball, and now we'll probably be looking for either the blue or the safety. I think because he has to bridge over the pink, you'll have to settle for a safety shot. I can't really see him getting enough action on the cue ball, especially after having to bridge over the pink. Yeah, exactly what he's done. Just putting the cue ball up onto the ball cushion and putting the blue out of position as well. Not sure that was the right shot to play, because it makes break building a lot more difficult, because right now you can't use the blue or the black with both of them being not available. So it's just the pink and the ball colors, as Trump responds with a good safety shot of his. And now Ajaib being with a chance. Has a long pot potentially, but turns those down. Goes for a safety shot and went for a really aggressive safety shot there. Covered up the black even more. Freed up the reds nicely, but left one for Trump to go for. It's not the hardest shot of all for Trump here. Needs to make sure he gets on the color though. And he's done exactly that. Judd Trump landed really well on the yellow there. And let's see how much of a break he can make out of it this time. He had a 32 in the opening frame. He had an 89 in the second frame. Of course, Ajaib managed to respond with a 45 break of his, missing the black to make it a 50 plus break in the previous frame. But Trump now up and running in the frame number 4, looking to close off the first mini session with a nice little 3-1 cushion, making sure he is the person to catch here, as there's been a slight turnaround on the table next to us, and it's now Zhao Xingtong that had a decent break here. So all of a sudden that break that Julian Boyka has built has disappeared, and it's now 40 points to 35 to Xingtong there, as Trump here once again gets the red and the pink into the pocket. So still remains to be on the break, with at least 4 more reds available into play. And this time, so the pink goes into all of the pockets. That will make life easier for Trump. Still, I think he would like to 3-up the black as soon as possible, just to give himself a little bit of breathing space, and another option to consider. Nicely done there from Trump as he frees up one of the reds. Really nice shot there, because he managed to develop both reds at the same time and still land really well on the red, giving himself full control of the next shot. Decides to go for a screw back. A little bit surprised to see that, because I would have expected him to go to the middle, and that of course means that he's got an angle that doesn't really favour him right now, because I can't really see a pathway for him to get back on the easier red. I think he'll just have to either go around the table, which is going to be one of the most difficult shots you can possibly play on a snooker table, or try and potentially just sacrifice the angle and the distance between the cue ball and one of the reds and just trust him skill. So he goes for the second option, round the table. No control of that shot whatsoever, it would seem. And he needed the cue ball to run a little bit more there, because it was always going to be really tight area for him to finish at. Just a question of the highest of the bunch above the black. Is he gonna go, or can he see the one just below the black? So he can't see either of those options, so he has to go for a cushion shot. It wasn't right on the cushion, so it was a difficult shot there to play for Trump. And in the end, with him playing it with lots of power, he missed that one again. And that is the end of a break. And I would say a chance for Ajaib, but that mistake from Trump hasn't really left Ajaib with anything. So I think he'll have to be a safety here unless he goes for an absolute wild shot into the green pocket throughout the majority of the table. And yeah, Ajaib just taking his time there, making sure he assesses all the options he has, and in the end goes for a little cross double and lands the cue ball really nicely onto the cushion there. So turn for Trump to try and respond. Yeah, good safety there from Ajaib. No wonder he took his time, because that has worked out a treat for him. Trump has to respond with himself, putting the cue ball, hitting it really thin there to cushion afterwards. And a nice kiss off the brown. Once again, good response from the world number one. And Ajaib here with another long pot that he has a chance of, but I think those ones will be turned out at this stage of the frame because of the black being covered up by the reds. Ajaib has seen another one and he's tried to go for it, make sure that cue ball's still going to be perfectly in the bulk area, comfortably I should say. I'm doing exactly that, doing it quite well there. And Trump now has a safety shot to his name, try and potentially get. And a real nice shot there from Trump, just lacking a little bit of pace to do all the damage to Ajaib there, but still managed to end up with some sort of distance between the cue ball and the reds. So Ajaib has got a long pot opportunity here and struck that one really nicely. I think the crowd will give him a round of applause for that, because it was a really difficult shot there. A lot of distance between the cue ball and the red, and a lot of angle as well. And the distance between the red and the pocket wasn't kind to him either. Would have liked to land a little bit cleaner on the brown, just that touch of the green in the end just didn't do him any favour at all. And now has all the work to do, try and potentially get on one of the reds from the brown. But if he does, he'll be in with a good chance here. Yeah, so he was always going to go into the green there, so that's why I couldn't quite see the exact angle that he was facing, but I thought he could go around the green and just go in and behind the yellow, but he had to go straight to green here and set himself up with a really tough shot. And to make matters worse, the pink and green are now blocking each other, and with the black being very much out of the equation, it is now mission impossible to build a really good break here. Ajaib though staying in this one, and a really nice spot there once again from the Pakistani player, world number 76. And he's got a yellow to his name. Hasn't got too much of an angle once again to bring the cue ball down the table. You would expect him to be going to the brown, but no, he decides to go for a rest shot on the yellow, which makes it even harder to generate any sort of power. So yeah, he settles for another middle range shot there into the corner pocket. So just seems to be accumulating points here, but because he's playing off the bulk colours, he only got 9 so far to his name, and he had to play some tough shots already. And every single one of those shots is a risk to leave for Trump, as this time that risk just seems to be too big. And in the end, he has left a shot there for Trump. Not the easiest of all time, but still, as Trump will have a little chat to the referee there, think about one of the stickers that keeps falling off it, keeps distracting him. So Trump here still 15 points ahead here after, all these colours issues there for Ajaib. Well, it's a horrible table if you think about it, especially for break building, with the green one being out of the equation, pink being out of the equation, as Trump lands a really good red there into the green pocket. It's only really yellow and brown where you can be taking the break around of, because the black only goes to one pocket, and it's not straightforward to land on it right now. Of course, you have to bring the cue ball down to that part of the table first. Trump tried to do that, but missed the yellow. Wasn't an easy one because the cue ball landed quite close to the cushion there. So it's Ajaib's chance once again here to find himself back in this frame after Trump only scoring 1 point at that particular occasion. Ajaib now probably has a chance to potentially land on the black, and it'll be an absolute game changer, and it'll certainly be a frame changer for Ajaib if he can do that. Off 2 cushions, a lot of topspin from the rest. Decides against that, decides to go for the yellow into the middle, but once again I don't think he's found any sort of angle to put himself on the red, so Ajaib just seems to be settling, to leaving himself in this frame and just accumulating those scraps of points, looking to make that 12, but then has a mountain to climb if he needs to get one of the reds. Trying to do the best he could, but unnaturally he forced himself an angle that he wouldn't really want, and now he's trailing by 13 points, and another end of break seems to be coming here, as he's looking for just which safety to play here. Farakh Ajaib. So the 4th frame hasn't really been as straightforward as some of the others. Well, you think about it, the first one was very much the amount of mistakes overshadowed the performance of both players. The second one, Trump had 1 chance and he managed to take it with a break of 89. You know, Ajaib hasn't really been much to the table at that frame. And then frame number 3, Trump had a chance to close that one off. In the end, couldn't use it, and Ajaib was the one to put the difference and make the difference in frame number 3. And this time, once again, the players are exchanging safeties, as I say, the break ended for Farakh Ajaib there, so just a safety in the end. And a Trump to respond with another safety of his. And I'm not too sure he was aiming for that, as the hand of apology goes late there, so it certainly didn't mean to do that, as the ricochet of one of the reds has fluked the red into the bottom right corner. And now Trump has a lot to do here if he is to find any sort of any more break points here, but decides to go for a safe option and decides to go for a snooker off the blue. In the end, has done that really well, and with no reds on the cushion, this could be one of the point scoring chances here for Trump, even it being not off the break but off a snooker. But because there's only 5 reds to aim at, because you can't really be aiming at any more of them, with the black in the way and the green and the pink being in the way, it might be another shot of hit and hope here for Ajaib. We've seen one already today, with Jamie Jones being one against Barry Hawkins. But Ajaib here, I'm pretty sure he would have liked to land a little bit straighter there on the red, because he has given up a chance here for Trump, and certainly not want to be doing that with world number 1, giving him an easy opener. The red is in here for Trump, and this time, Trump has landed really well on one of the colours, it being the brown. So with 4 reds being very much into play, I would expect this to be the end of the first midi session here. I need to go the way of world number 1, Judd Trump here. The ace from the pack. He's already 19 points clear, so probably will need 3 more reds and the job will be done for the Englishman. Once again, so the problem still is for Trump. Even though all the reds are in a really nice position, you still have to be going back to the brown and the yellow. As I have to say, I don't really recall the position being so bad throughout the frame for all the colours. You know, usually it's the reds blocking the colours, and as the reds disappear, the colours position improve massively. Hasn't been the case in this frame so far, with Trump Once again, going back to the bulk area, onto the brown. I think he's landed a little bit too straight on that one, so maybe tempted to go for the yellow, as he edges ever closer to winning this frame again. So thinks he can generate enough angle on the brown there, so he goes against my suggestion and pots it really well. There's a lot of cue power in that shot, and in the end, no damage done, and landed really nicely on the red there once again. Haven't seen too many good breaks here from Judd Trump apart from that one in the second frame, 89. I think his highest one apart from that was 32. So certainly not the numbers that you would expect from Judd Trump, but of course context is key, and the safety battles have made break building a lot harder for Trump than he would have liked. Has a really nice red shot here, 30 points clear with 35 on the table. So the brown and the next red will be the frame ball. Not going to be too easy for him to get on this red though, as the black is blocking one of the pockets, and of course that makes it an awful lot harder for him to land with a good angle here. So he goes for 2, potentially 3 cushion escape here, and couldn't land any worse here, Trump. So a break of 20, and surely will be the end of break here. As this time the black is finally free from the red, and Trump I think will try to roll the cue ball up in behind the black if he can, and just put the red towards the top part of the table. So he decides to go against that, puts very little distance between the cue ball and the red there, with black in the middle. And it's now Farakh Ajaib's turn to try and potentially stay in this frame. Still very much in for grabs here, with black being finally free from captivity here of one of the reds. Ajaib goes for a safety shot that turns into a snooker attempt. Not sure how much of it was planned and how much of it was just him being lucky there. But of course Ajaib will be looking to split the green-pink bunch up, as you will need all 8 of the next points for him to close off frame number 4 and go into the mid-session interval. With it being 2-all, Judd Trump will be very much looking that doesn't happen, as he's looking to put some cushion between him and his opponent already, with it being 3 frames to 1 lead potentially, as Ajaib now has a horrible safety shot here, leaving Trump with an easy chance to put this frame to bed. And it looks like it'll be just a couple of more shots between. It will be a mid-session break here, as Trump gets the red. Was the frame ball for him, and now because of the colour not being available, it is going to be just a safety, I assume, from Trump. Yeah, rolls in behind that pink and green bunch. Ajaib will come back to the table because it's still 2 snookers chance, and we can still get something out of it. Of course, the free ball is no longer as valuable with no reds on the table. Goes for the first shot, trying to catch the blue, and just puts the blue even further down the cushion, so that won't help him at all. Strum now goes for just an ordinary safety of a cross double. Well, he's tried to go for an ordinary safety there, but the cue ball landed exactly in the yellow pocket, and he had a lot of left hand spin there, Judd Trump, but you have to say the cue ball should have been anywhere near the pocket, and all of a sudden it's just 1 snooker here. And Trump putting himself under pressure under the time he didn't really have to. Ajaib in with a chance to potentially pop the yellow and then try and do the damage on the green and the pink, but a horrible shot there, a double kiss there from Ajaib. And it's once again Trump back at the table. Still got 1 snooker advantage to his name, as once again decides to go to send the cue ball back to the bulk area in behind the pink and the green bunch. He's done that one really well. Farakh needs to make sure he generates some power on this shot. Rolls the yellow down the cushion, and that kiss off the blue didn't help him because it was a potential chance for a snooker there for the world number 76, but instead it's the world number 1 with a straightforward safety here and a chance to potentially try and do some damage himself there, which he most certainly did. A really good shot there from Trump. and all of a sudden it is him. And look at the distance he put between the white and the yellow, with the yellow being exactly on the cushion, making it really hard to swerve around. But Ajaib's done well there, as he got the black in between the cue ball and the yellow. Probably deserved a slice of luck after that shot. And he's got it. So Trump will have to once again play off the cushion. Tries to go for a pot once again. Missed it by a couple of millimeters there. And the yellow stays out for now. So still, reminder, 31 points is the gap between the players. 27 on the table. And with the way the green and pink are positioned right now, you could certainly understand why Ajaib is coming back to the table, with it being only one snooker in it. And still 27 points on the board. But this time Trump has a really good chance to put this frame to bed. And he doesn't. I have to say, he got down to that shot way too quickly for my liking. He has put the yellow over the pocket here, so I would assume that yellow won't be staying on the table for any longer than a couple of seconds here, as Ajaib puts the yellow and now has a chance to snooker Trump and do all the damage it certainly can. Put the cue ball in behind the pink there and send the green just as far away from the cushion as is humanly possible for him. Hasn't done too well on that, I would say, because unless the middle pocket is going to be in the way, it should be a straightforward escape here from Trump. I would expect it to be one, maybe two cushions here, but the concerning look on his face doesn't tell me that it's going to be as straightforward as I've got it planned in my head, as he has to go all around the table with at least 3 cushions into play, and he's missed it. So all of a sudden it is 4 points here to Ajaib, and he can now tie in there and force a black ball decider on a respot here. Of course, him having 22 points, Trump has 47. 25 is the gap and 25 is on the table here, so 2 snookers was the advantage for Trump there. And now Ajaib is very much back in it. Still has 5 more pots to make until he has a chance of a respot. Once again, just a reminder on the other match that he's going around. That's the last qualifying match. Zhao Xingtong is now losing to Yulian Boyko by 2 frames to 1. Boyko winning this the really tough battle in the third one. And Xingtong is now on the break of 18 here in the frame number 4. As this time Ajaib has got a chance here of a potential pot. Trump had a chance himself to force a better safety than he actually did. And now Ajaib has a pot chance. This will be an absolute steal if he makes it count. Of course, still has a black ball at the end of it, should he put those remaining 4 colours now, as the green is in the pocket. The brown follows him up, but he decided not to risk a pot on the brown to try and cannon the blue there. So once again puts the cue ball and the blue ball on the opposite side of the table. One being on the black cushion, one of them being on the ball cushion. And it's the end of a break. So once again, this frame certainly has been the longest of them all. But it probably is the most important of them all, especially if you're Farakh or Ajaib, because once again Trump just a little short of pace there on that shot, and it's Ajaib with a chance. And if he can just hold it for the pink there and staying behind the pink, all of a sudden he could be in with a chance and being the favourite to win this frame. He had to pot the blue though, and he didn't. Where's the cue ball going to finish? Where's the blue ball going to finish? Well, it's finished probably favourably for Ajaib. It's possible for Trump into the green pocket, but certainly a lot of distance between the blue ball and the pocket. Trump going for a safety this time, making sure that no more invitations left there for Ajaib, which you have to say there's been plenty of already in this frame alone. This time it's a really good safety shot there from Trump. And it's Ajaib that had to force his way out of it. And Trump has either gone for an absolute worldie of a shot or he's just tried to play safe there. Well, I didn't see any kind of apology there, so I would assume, especially with the quality of Trump, he could afford to do that. And what a shot! What a shot it was from Trump. And in the end, that will do it nicely, as Trump takes the last frame of the first mini session there. And it's now the break of 5 that does the job in the end. So Trump will go into the mid-session interval with a lead of 3 frames to 1 there. Farakh Ajaib had his chance, but in the end it is the ace in the pack, the world number 1, that has 1 foot in the main stage of this Wuhan Open. We'll continue the match after a little break here. Love your commentary, kid. Go and work hard, play hard. Appreciate that. You know, you're very much being supportive in the chat to me. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. And yeah, as I say, we'll be back shortly. And yeah, stay tuned. Still a lot more action to come. And now we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for frame number 5 here. After a short intermission of 15 minutes, both players are now back on the table. It was the Judd Trump's break off now, and he's landed really well in and behind the brown for Farakh Ajaib to try and potentially find an escape route here. We'll be looking to do just that, and he's found to do that, managed to do that really nicely there. So this time it is Judd Trump that will have to do a safety there. So a really good shot once again here from Trump, making sure that the cue ball is going to stick to that bulk cushion area and not leaving anything to his opponent rather than another safety shot. Something that Trump has managed to do in 3 of those frames. Of course, all of these frames he has managed to win, with the only one that came Ajaib's way was the one that Trump was just making way too many unforced errors, and yeah, just kept leaving Ajaib on there. But starts here with a really good shot there, with a long shot, Judd Trump, as he landed on one of the bulk colours there. Seems like he has, and a brilliant start there to the frame. And now has a brown to follow up after the red. Try and potentially get to the lower part of the table, and now finally be in control in and around the black spot once again here. I think Trump will be looking to make that a complete score repetition to their encounter 3 years ago in August. Of course, Trump has managed to win that match by 5 frames to 1, and he's on track to do that now again, as he's now got 2 more frames to try and potentially win, should he be the winner of this match, with the same scoreline as it has been last time around. Yes, so far 14 points here scored for Trump. A really good stuff there for him, and now looking to make that 21 with another black going into the pocket there. And now it is indeed another red for Trump to play here. He's got a couple of those available to his name, but has to bridge over a red here. Just makes the pot and the exit onto the black a little bit more difficult there for Trump, but in the end he's managed to deal with it, and another black is in. So 29 points scored already here. Really quick pace there from Trump. And once again, making that 30 to his name. So a little hesitation there, as I think Trump is lining up a shot into the cluster, and what a shot that was. That has to be a shot of the match so far. If you've not seen it, you better watch the replay, because the cue action was so good. The cue ball powered into the bunch, and then it had enough spin on it to power it with another shot and just make sure that it wasn't sticking to any of them at all. So Judd Trump to be looking to make this frame the shortest of them all, with him already accomplishing more than half of the task that he has in front of him, scoring 45 points already, 91 being available. So he's in for a 146 so far, and so all lies on if he can keep it up and just do the same thing throughout this break. So far he has managed to do a 50 plus break once again, only the second time we've seen that throughout the match in those 4.5 frames, as he's looking to make that 53 and a nice little land on the brown there. Once again looking to make it round the table, so doesn't quite like the angle on the brown, so he decides to go for the green there. And he's landed on the red nicely here once again, with an angle to go for the blue or one of the bulk colours once again. So we'll need 2 more reds and 2 more colours, and I think that should be it here for Judd Trump, as the first one is in. Lands nicely on the blue. Might need a little cannon, might not be little if you're Judd Trump. And yeah, so he goes with him. Not a lot of pace in that shot, but still a lot of accuracy, and now setting up himself with 2 last shots that will bring him onto the frame ball. As this red is in now, and the black is here for the frame, looking to make it an absolute blister of a frame. You know, some spectators may still be returning from that 15 minutes interval, and all of a sudden it won't be 3-1 anymore, it will be 4-1 now, because Judd Trump with a break of 70, no messing around, straight to business, and he is clearly looking to make the most out of this time for him to have a rest before the next round, and he will certainly do that if he can win any of those next 4 frames, as he now only needs one more to be through to the main ranking part of the Wuhan Open in 2025. We'll be looking to, you know, have a little bit better campaign than what he's managed to do so far throughout the season, only managing quarterfinal as his best result. And with O'Sullivan and Robertson being out of the equation, alongside alongside Karen Wilson, I think you would have to put Judd Trump as the favourite for this tournament. Of course, you can't forget the likes of Zhao Xington, Si Jiawei, Zhao Gudong, the home favourites, and may as well just throw Ding Junhui there as well. But for Trump, it is looking like a century break here, as he's just one more shot away from it, and he will be on the black. And now looking to make it 102 break, so really good stuff here from Trump. And the first century of the match comes into the frame number 5 straight after the break. So he had to play one colour each time, apart from the yellow. Of course, on top of that, he has spotted 11 more blacks, looking to put 11th one now and get nicely onto the yellow to get even more points on this break, which has already been by far the highest of the match. Hasn't landed really well there on the yellow, so will need a rest to come to his rescue. So 110 points. And making that 112 has come short on the green, but probably will take it to the middle pocket, as it's going to be an easier option for him. Once again, the green disappears as well. The brown will do just that, and a little bit of exhibition once again round the table for Trump. Will be unhappy with himself as he hasn't finished exactly as he would have liked on the blue. Still has one to the left corner pocket shot, and takes that brilliantly, rattled into the pocket there. 150 mile an hour shot there from Trump, and now has 2 more to his name, the pink and then the black. As once again, have a look at this. I say 150 mile shot, but what a control on the cue ball, and brilliant there from Trump, making that 130, and yeah, really good stuff there from Trump. As in the end, that is framed on, and is framed to Judd Trump here in spectacular fashion, and with no real struggles there throughout that break. You know, the position wasn't brilliant at the start of it, but he certainly made it look very easy, has Judd Trump. And now he's only 1 frame away from qualifying to the main part of the Wuhan Open. As we go for a little break here, just a little reminder that the table next to us, featuring Zhao Xington and Julian Boyko, is now very much at Zhao Xington's disposal, as he's now leading by 49 points, with it being 2 frames all. So looking to make it 3-2 in his favour. Zhao Xington will very much, with that World Championship title to his name, will be now the home favourite in China, you would have thought, surpassing even the likes of Ding Junhui, which used to be the hometown favourite. You know, Si Jiawei was the semi-finalist a couple of years ago in 2023, was leading Luca Broussel heavily there. I think it was 14-5. Was a couple of frames away from becoming the first finalist there, but Broussel came back at him, so it was Xington there that was the first winner of the World Championship in snooker from China, and is now, you would expect him to be the man to cheer from the Chinese fans. But these matches here is not over yet. Trump needs to make sure he gets his business done early if you're Trump, and just get on to the next match, which is going to be with Matthew Stevens. A little reminder for you there. It's going to be the last 64 there. So I think anything less than a semi-final at this stage of the tournament will be a disappointment for Trump. Of course, you'll have to depend on which draw he gets. With him being number 1 seed, of course, he gets the higher and the more favourable side of the draw, which would mean that he wouldn't face, the sort of dangerous opponents that you would face if you're, Elias Lesser, Zhao Guodong, with Barry Hawkins, Jack Jones, Zhou Yulong, David Gilbert all being that side of the draw. Neil Robertson and Ronnie O'Sullivan being out of it, as I mentioned, but still the likes of Stephen Maguire, Mark Allen, John Higgins being on the tough side of the draw for the winner of this match, as now Ajaib is ready to get this frame 6, which could be the last frame of this match, underway. And he does so with a really nice break-off shot there. It's his time to perform now, because should he lose this match, should he lose this frame, he will be out of this tournament. Of course, the night might start if you're number 76 from Pakistan. Of all the players to play, you're gonna be facing Judd Trump, even though he's not the sort of the most informed player on tour. He's still probably the most dangerous of them all, especially when it comes to playing someone below the top 32 players on the ranking, as the cue ball now from Ajaib is fading towards the pocket, and indeed it will be a foul, and 4 points to Judd Trump. So just the question of, does the ball in hand give anything to Trump, or is that going to be a repetition of a shot there? I think he will try and go for an attack attempt here, because he's got a nice little gap there in between the black and the red to try and put the cue ball through and potentially land on the black nicely. He decided to go for a safer option, and in the end he was right, because he has missed that shot as Judd Trump, and he gives the turn back to his opponent. And it's now time for Farakh Ajaib to try and respond with a decent safety of his. He's got a really thin cut to the right corner pocket, but with the cue ball going straight towards the reds, I would assume he will not take that one option. Goes for another one, a safety shot that was always risky to play, and one of the reds has gone right towards the left corner pocket with the cue ball not finishing tight on the cushion. You would expect this to be a straightforward opening here for Trump, as he doesn't put a lot of pace on it, but still misses. It's a really surprising miss there from Trump. He obviously at the position where he can afford those misses, but always surprising when a player of that quality misses a shot like that. A little smile there from Trump, as he knows in hindsight he probably won't be punished for it with the loss of frame, with him not giving anything here to Ajaib. And just another safety here for his opponent. So got away with one Trump there. Could have easily been a frame-ending mistake. In the end, it's not even point that goes the way of Ajaib there. And Trump is back to square one with some of his safety play. Looking to find the back of the yellow there with the cue ball, and doing exactly that. Landing really well, only giving Ajaib the right side of the reds to work with, just below the pink there. So good stuff there. And once again, have a look at this. What we're seeing here, Zhao Xington could be in with a chance of a maximum here. And let's see how that one finishes on table 1. So it'll be really interesting. He's got only 4 more balls to pot there. The play hasn't stopped there, so Ajaib is still looking to find an escape route. And after Zhao Guodong has found one earlier today, could we see another one on the 24th of August? Another Chinese player here potentially. 3 more shots to go for him. He landed really nicely on the pink now, Zhao Xington. Only 2 more to go for him. And the pink is not in. He's missed the pink there. Wow. And what a miss that was. That was one of the easiest pinks you'll ever see in your life. He's got a smile on his face, but I think he'll be absolutely devastated. Because what a chance that was for a maximum. And to be on the pink there, the last two shots, and being really good position, straightforward finish to the black, and wow, he has blown it. That's a shame if you're a Zhao Xingtong fan. It's a shame if you're a snooker fan, because it's always nice for the sport when one of the players makes a 147. Not to be that time around, as we're back on table 2 here, and the action resumes with the players both rolling up to the main bunch, just below the pink there. And now Trump has to find an answer himself. Don't think he's got a touch and ball here, so he'll just be rolling up towards the red ball there. Yep, there you go. A job done there. And the turn goes to Ajaib, which probably will do the same thing. So just a matter of time for me if he continues like this until it will be a re-rack. Unless Ajaib gave away a touch and ball here, which would be an absolute waste here, because it would give Trump an upper hand here. And I think the referee has certainly called the touch and ball there. So a mistake there from Ajaib. From a simple position, he gives away an easy safety shot to Trump. And all of a sudden, a frame that was looking like it was going to go to stalemate. And Trump now has a really good safety, puts the cue ball quite close to the ball cushion. And now Ajaib has to find all the answers. Needs to pass the blue with the cue ball. He does that. So he's managed to find the answer for the first shot there, Ajaib. And now it is turned back to Trump here. Once again, looking to find the thinnest of edges of that one of the left red balls and finish the cue ball quite closely into the yellow there. Does exactly that, and a good shot once again from the world number 1. You have to say, one aspect of the game from Trump today, which has been really good, is his safety play. You know, I think the sort of frame that he gave away was probably, if you take away the first one, which was, you know, really there for the taking for both of these players. You know, the third one, which he lost, it was just the mistakes that he was making on the attempts of pots. So the pot success on that particular frame wasn't really good for Trump. But apart from that, his safety play's been good. You know, the times where Ajaib had him in sort of trouble, it was good to recover. And apart from that, hasn't done a lot wrong there. But once again, he may just come to an end with a perfect jinx here. As you know, one of the safeties, he's ended up there. It landed, one of the reds has landed perfectly over the right corner pocket. And it should be an easy introduction for Ajaib. The only problem is, the black is off his spot and he's higher up than pink. And with the red being so close into the pocket, it's going to be hard for Ajaib to get onto the blue, which was really the only color available. And he hasn't been able to do that. So we just probably have to be a safety off the pink and into the bulk area. Once again, exactly that. He does exactly that, Ajaib. And I think he would be disappointed because the cue ball is still landed way too far from the cushion than Ajaib would have liked. And certainly at the prime position for Trump, I would say, to try and have a long pot opportunity himself there. It missed though. Where's the cue ball going to finish? Is he going to finish safe for Trump? He caught blue with a really nice touch, and in the end he finished right up ahead of the green. Wow, it's such an unfortunate there for Ajaib, because he had a straightforward red to have an opener there, but Trump just gets away with it, and now Ajaib has to break Jova, and all of a sudden a red that was going to be straightforward turns into an absolute nightmare. Of course, Ajaib turning it down to play it, just a safety from it. But now I think, even with that safety, I think Trump will be still lining up that red into the middle pocket. Or he potentially, if he can see the one higher up, no, he decides to go for a safety. So no inventing here from Trump, as this time it certainly wasn't fluke at all, as he found a really good safety shot there. Lines exactly behind the yellow, and the cue ball is dead on the cushion there. So it's going to be complicated for Ajaib to find a really good safety shot here. Especially, the thing that makes it even harder is the fact that he hasn't really got an awful lot of bunches to roll up to, and he has to do it with the safety in mind. So he decides to go for a conservatory shot towards the bunch, but that was always going to leave Trump with the chance towards the yellow pocket. So it was an easy option to go for, but it was also quite risky because not a lot is hampering Trump here, and he certainly is only gone and done and produced a wonderful pot there. Judd Trump looking to close off this match now, having 4 points as well from the Ajaib's snooker attempt of escape, which hasn't landed anywhere else but exactly where Trump would have liked it to be. Hasn't landed perfectly on any of the ball colours, so needs a yellow and needs to find a lot of the angle. But he's found just enough angle to put the cue ball into the middle pocket there. So enough for Trump. And he had to produce something there. There was no point just taking the yellow and taking 2 points. He had to take a gamble. And in the end, he gives away 4 points to his opponent. And a loss of turn to his opponent as well. Ajaib now with the ball in hand will be looking to, well, sort of make Trump pay for it. I'm not sure you can do that even if you're Judd Trump in this position, with the black being off its spot, the pink not being on his spot as well. And then a good safety there, I would say, from Trump and Ajaib. Their little exchange. Once again, Trump is back to the table. Needs to hit this one really thin there, and it's got that one a little bit too thick and hasn't got away with this shot though. As Ajaib now has got a really similar shot to the one he had a couple of shots ago, but this time not hampered by the green badly. So not the hardest of the openings, just needs to find a perfect angle of the cut there. Does exactly that, needs to two cushion bounds to end up on one of the ball colours, and doesn't want to be straight on any of them. And I'm pretty sure he's dead straight on the brown there, so waste there from Ajaib. I would say he's probably unlucky with the two cushion approach that he's taken there. He'd probably done just as much as he could have in that position and in that regard. He needs to try and find some way out of it. And goes for a screw back option, and wow, has he generated a lot of right hand spin, not just backspin, but a lot of right hand spin there. And what a shot that was from Farakh Ajaib. He's landed really nicely on the red, a little bit hampered by the cushion once again there. So needs to take that into consideration, needs to focus on the pot a little bit more because he can't afford any mistakes, and he's just got one there. You know, he has landed on the black nicely, but took his eye off the pot, I think, because he was always focusing on the black. You know, his eyes, if you have a look at his shot once again, his eyes were always going to be on the black and not on the pot there. And Trump now starts himself and starts with a really good pot from the red. Wasn't easy, hasn't landed on the black as good as he would have liked, because the angle he's got right now would mean that the cue ball is going away from the pack of reds there and just creating another problem for Trump. He's got the black in, but hasn't, of course he hasn't got any reds catching the green in the progress. So now 17 points, place 10 here in favour of Judd Trump in frame number 6 here. And now has got the red that is furthest of them all into the left side to try and potentially play. And now it's loss of turn for Trump once again. So the end of a break here for him. And it's the turn for Ajaib here to try and do something about it. But a good enough safety there for Trump means that Ajaib has to go for a cross double as the only red that he can sort of play. Needs to avoid the double kiss, and he hasn't. It could be costly, you know, because that double kiss hasn't done Ajaib any favour. I don't think he left Trump with anything straightforward there, but still, I think he's got a pot, potentially a potential pot, I should say, into the green pocket and line up in behind the black. And what a shot he's played there, Judd Trump, brilliant there from the ace in the pack. Certainly living up to the name there. from the cushion. Really little distance between the cue ball and the red ball there. But making it count in the end, just Judd Trump. And he's now has got another chance to put an end to this match with a lot more straightforward of a position here, with still pink and black being out of the equation, but blue and the ball colours very much up for grabs there for Trump. This time though, no messing around on the red, and lands on the right side of the blue there. We'll probably need a cushion of the back screw back. And really nicely done there from Trump. Now has got a selection of at least 2 reds to choose. Does he want to go for the cannon on the pink and try and potentially free up the pink? Or maybe just land on the blue one for a safe option. Goes for the option number 2. Needs to make sure he's landed on the right side of the blue. And he just about has. So really good stuff there from Trump. Once again the blue is in, so 35 points already as Trump scored here. That plays 10 that Ajaib has managed to achieve in this frame. So very much looking like the end of this match and the end of the campaign for Farakh Ajaib here. And I would say a smooth start for Trump. I wouldn't say it's a perfect start because there were too many errors from the world number 1, but certainly good enough to get the campaign going. And it's certainly better than the campaign that he had against Oliver Lines, you know, losing one of the, well, certainly this first match that he had to play, the Saudi Arabian Masters there. Of course, remember, this is a delay of qualification. A lot of players have played their matches in June, before this tournament has started, with Trump and Xington being one of the only 2 that had to play their matches today. Reminder that on the table number 1, Zhao Xington had a maximum attempt. After Zhao Gudong, his compatriot, has already made one today. But unfortunately for Xington, he has failed it on 134. He only had the pink and the black for the maximum, but has not managed to put the pink from a straightforward position. After that, he's been all smiles, but I'm pretty sure that inside himself, he will be absolutely crying, because that was a good maximum opportunity for him to try and get. For Judd Trump here though, he's only got a couple of more reds and colours to pot ahead of him until he can officially be in the main draw for the Wuhan Open, passing the qualification round and being still, I would say, the man to beat. You know, you talk about Zhao Xington, Kyron Wilson. If you ask me, with Noah Sullivan and Robertson, the 2 people in form who's going to be the favourite for this tournament, without hesitation you have to say Judd Trump, because once again finds a little bit of luck to land still the wrong side of the blue, but at least land on the blue there. Needs to go around the table for one of the reds here, but if there's one player that can do that, I can make it look quite easy, it is this guy, Judd Trump. Once again 59 points for Trump, 10 for Ajaib, so 49 being the difference. Needs a red, a colour and another red to put it past him. The red is in, barely rattled in the jaws there, but in the end has made it. No emotion there on the face of Judd Trump. Needs a pink, and the next red will be a frame ball for him. And there you go. In fact, the pink has done the damage here, as you can see, ahead by 56 points and 51 on the table here. There's once again all the job done for Judd Trump here. Looking to finish it off with a century, but landed really badly on the block here, so don't think we'll see a century break here. Unless he can find a brilliant pot here for the black. As he misjudged the pace there, I don't think he's going to reach it, and he certainly has drifted wide. So I think that will be the end here of the campaign. Is Ajaib coming back to the table? No, he's not. He's just coming over to shake the hand of Judd Trump there. And it is frame and match here for the world number 1, who is off to a good start here against Farakh Ajaib of Pakistan. And he's the world number 1 that is very much on top here. Before we finish off, just a little reminder once again that the table number 1, the main table, Zhao Xington, is now 3 frames ahead to 2. against his battle of Ukrainian rising star Yulian Boyko. Zhao Xingtong is now on a break to make it 4-2 at this moment in time. As we're going to end the broadcast there. Congratulations to Judd Trump, he's through to the main event, and I think we'll certainly hear a lot more of him in the coming days and coming weeks. And even in this Wuhan Open, can he be the person to spoil the Chinese party of last year and make it an England finalist here? We'll be back for more action at Wuhan Open. Thank you very much for joining here, and we'll talk to you shortly. Thank you very much again.